Hello, my little geeks and freaks. Welcome to my book bowl series where I will go through a massive bowl of books and hopefully not lose my sanity in the process. I've been tested a lot with one of the series. You guys know which series. We're actually going to go over one of the books today, but I think I can do it. I definitely think I can do it. And I'm trying not to DNF any books I read. Before I get into today's book, I think I'm going to try something different. I've been doing a lot of scripts to make these videos, and I think it's been slowing down my reading that I'm constantly taking notes, especially when I remember the books pretty well. And I make these long scripts and I end up looking at the computer, and I know it shows in my videos, even though I try to cut out as much of it as possible. And I hate that. And I feel like it doesn't look as genuine and I don't look like I'm enjoying myself. And I want to enjoy myself because I love books. Even the books I hate, I still love reading. So I want to talk to you guys about it. I may look at my screen for some bullet points that I want to talk about, or maybe some specific things that I quoted, or I just want to remember to talk about because I can't remember every little detail in the book. So I will do that, but I don't want to have a full script. I did write a full script for this, but I think I'm going to try to ignore it for the sake of this, to see how I do. You know, I want it to feel more genuine, more smooth. Let's see how it goes. I need some water because I'm thirsty and dying. Today's book is on The Wrong Wife by Steele. It is the 5th book in the Morally Grey Billionaires series. As you guys know, I have absolutely despised this series and questioned every decision I've ever made to do this book bowl. Why was this the first series I pulled out? It was like it was telling me that this was a bad idea. But I am stubborn and determined, and I'm going to do it anyway. There are a lot of books, and it's still growing, the book bowl. Will I ever finish it? Yes. How long will it take? Who knows? Stick with me, folks. We can get through this together, you know? So as I said, you guys know that I haven't liked this entire series, but I'm not gonna lie when I enjoy something. And I actually enjoyed this book. I mean, I didn't like love it, but I didn't hate it. I kind of liked it. I didn't like the beginning. I liked more towards like the middle and the end, but it was enough to make me like, oh, you know, that wasn't bad. I could say good things about this book, a lot better things than I could say about the previous books. Guys, let me tell you, there was no kissing with the eyes open, so I'm happy about that. I know, I'm surprised too. I like one of these books. Shocking. I can't believe it took till the 5th book for me to get there. And don't get me wrong, for a good chunk of it, especially like that beginning, I was really annoyed with the familiar back and forth. I want her, I want him, I don't want her, I don't want him. All the jumbled chaos that just kind of seemed thrown in. But like I said, towards that ending, that was a pretty satisfying ending. And it's funny because it's not even like the romance part that got me. I was actually pretty taken to the backstory of our main male character, Knight. I loved it. I thought it was really emotional, actually, and you know me. I love emotion. If I cry during a book, like more often than not, it was a pretty good book in my eyes. And not just cry frustration for having to read it, because obviously I think I cried during every book in this series. So this book follows Penny, who is innocent but confident, curvy. She's very bubbly. She always smiles, even when she doesn't want to smile. Like she's very bubbly. And Knight, who just quit his career in the Royal Marines, and he just got back from being captured by the enemy for 6 months. He is grumpy. He is broody, he is keeping everyone at arm's length, and of course, their opposites attract, they have to. Before he was captured, Knight was different. You kind of see glimpses of him in the past books, not as much as you saw of like Declan. He definitely wasn't mentioned as often as the other men in the book. From what you do see of him though, he is really close with Declan and Cade. They're best friends. And he's really kind. He joined the Royal Marines because his father's in the mafia, and he wanted to be better. He wanted to do good for the people, and this is what he did. He joined the Royal Marines. He's always been about doing good for other people. He's always been nice. He hasn't really had time for relationships, from what it was in the past books mentioned, and he loves his sister, cares about her, and is absolutely devoted to like his family with her. Obviously, he's not close with his parents for, you know, obvious reasons. So yeah, that's the kind of guy he was. But when he came back after being captured, tortured, and having to suffer for half a year, he was a different man. He was the shell of who he used to be. He's angry, he's cold, he's closed off, he feels lost, and he's afraid of getting close to anybody. And as you read through the book, you can kind of see why. I mean, he went through a lot, and they tell you what he went through, and it's wow. It's wow. And again, that's what made me emotional, like seeing what he went through and how he has been changed as a result. He really keeps everybody at distance, not just like the people he now works with after taking over his father's CEO. I know, shock, he works for his father. He's planning to take over the company of one of the legitimate businesses, but regardless, his father, which is something nobody would have ever expected. But he keeps his sister at bay. He keeps his best friends at bay. He wants to be around nobody. He doesn't like being around people or in crowded spaces. And he's successful with that, except when it comes to Penny, who kind of wiggles her way into his presence. Penny sees through the cold, emotionless facade that he portrays now. She sees the broken, vulnerable man beneath and a hint of the man he used to be, which Knight actually hates that she can do that, but because it breaks down his defenses. She wants to break down his walls. She wants to help him heal from the trauma that he can't seem to escape. His body may have returned, but his mind is still trapped where he was. And Penny wants to help. She's also attracted to him. I mean, that's the main thing, but she wants to help him. And her sister wants her to help him. They are complete opposites, and they constantly clash and argue, but their chemistry is absolutely explosive. One fake marriage, a bunch of mistakes in between on Knight's part, and you have to wonder, will he be able to earn the love that he thinks he doesn't deserve but Penny is willing to give? And will she be able to mend his shattered soul? That's basically the premise of this book. Let's get into like my thoughts on the book now. As usual, the book is very jumbled, it's very chaotic, and the characters are very fickle, going back and forth. I want them, I don't want them, I hate them, I love them, I don't want to touch them, I do want to touch them. It just goes on and on and on, and that is always going to annoy me because I think it's overdone, and it's in every single book. It's the same thing. However, while it is still way too much in this book, I think it does work for these characters better than it did for the other characters. I still think that the author should have pulled back on how much they were going back and forth, but they were allowed to have more of that fickle attitude and behavior as opposed to any of the previous books, in my opinion, only because it's obvious. Penny is clashing with his personality. She's dealing with issues with her mom. She is always trying to force a smile, whether she's happy or not. And Knight is traumatized, like deeply traumatized. And I think it makes sense for them to go back and forth a little bit more, mostly because of his trauma, but also because of Penny dealing with his broody, rough behavior, that she has that ability to be a little bit more fickle too. Again, author did it way too much, and it still annoys the crap out of me, but I will say that they deserve to have a little bit more of that leeway. Penny in the beginning of the book talks about how she smiles a lot to hide her emotions and to like show people positivity, and I really relate to that because I don't do it as much as I did when I was younger, but I always smiled whether I was angry, I was frustrated, I was nervous, I was sad. Like I always tried to force a smile. It's not always possible, and I think as I've grown older, I just don't have it in me. And in the beginning of the book, she rushes out tonight after he leaves the party of his return, and she says, and I quote, "I flash the chauffeur a wide smile because that's what I do. When I'm embarrassed, I smile. When I'm angry, I smile more. When I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, like right now, I smile the biggest smile I can muster, because isn't being optimistic and happy supposed to make things better?" So that really made me feel genuinely connected to her. I do feel like I relate to Penny because of what she said, because that is exactly how I feel most of the time. I do smile through a lot of situations. That's just how I am. One thing I never had growing up, that she has is that body positivity, and I love it. She's curvy and she likes food. She admits that, and I love that about her. The thing that confuses me is that Knight says that she is not his type in any way, but I guess opposites really do attract because he wants her, so clearly she's kind of his type. I don't know what to say. That's one thing that kind of confuses me. And then, kind of like how I said about the back and forth thing, Knight will literally say he can't stand to be around a woman, can't stand to be around people, but he just doesn't want to be touched by a woman or anything. And then, like, he's all up in her space and touching her and stuff, and I'm just like, this was 2 seconds ago you said this, so make up your mind. That is annoying. That's where it's like just too far on the back and forth. It's like such an instant change of mind that it leaves me dizzy. And that's where it's like, that's not exactly a good thing, bestie. Like, no. Another thing that I don't really like that the author does, and she does this in every one of her books, but I don't think I've ever commented on it. And I don't know if other authors do it, or if maybe I just didn't notice it, or maybe it's just not so in your face. But she is constantly having the men like talk in detail about what they want to do to this woman, and then they like almost never do it, or at least they don't do it until like way later in the book. But it's just such vulgar speaking, and I get it. Listen, I'm all about dirty talk, but like, it just seems so in your face, and it's more like they just want to talk. They don't want to actually act on it, which is annoying. Midway through the book, Knight admits that his father has this stipulation before getting the company, and the stipulation is that he has to be married within a month and have a child within a year, I think. It's not a spoiler, so I'm not too nervous about saying that. I think it was a year. And all I could think is, why didn't he just choose her automatically? I mean, clearly he wants her, so this could be like that excuse, oh, I don't want her, but I have to because I'm fake married to her. Like, that just would have been what I would have thought would happen. But no, he wants her to like look for a proper wife. He wants her to do it. And then he's listing out all these attributes he wants, which are her. It's very weird. After he admits to her that he needs to find a wife, he ends up taking her V card and then being a total butthole afterwards. It's actually really annoying. All of these men have this bad habit of taking their V card or just being with them and then making them vulnerable and then treating them like garbage afterwards just to make themselves feel better and protect themselves. And to me, it's just like, come on, get over yourself. Like, every single one of them do this, and it's really annoying. Actually, that's a lie. Not every single one. I think Hunter and Liam were the only ones who didn't actually make their partner feel vulnerable or anything. They like to like push their partner's buttons, but they didn't do what the others did. Hunter and Liam were like the ones being hurt by the other woman. So it's clear that there's always one of them in the series that just have to be jerks. While he's making her make this list of attributes for potential wives, I love the way Penny sasses him. Like, she could really go toe to toe for him, even though he constantly hurts her. So she says, and I quote, let's see, must be thick-skinned enough to put up with your crotchety temper, your general lack of politeness, and your disagreeable nature, must be meek and bow to your will, must not have a single original thought of her own, must do as she's told at every turn. How am I doing? When I read this, I actually like laughed because that is such a sassy thing to do, because he's being a jerk, making her do this after flirting with her so much and like doing things with her. Not taking her V card yet, but he did things with her. And she's just done. So she's just writing this out just to sass him. As we go through the book, you see Knight, like I said earlier, he distanced himself from his friends and his sister. He really prefers to just spend his time alone or with his one friend who he said survived the capture that he was with. They worked together, and much to his denial, Penny. We see him think through his traumas and think that he's not good enough for Penny because he just can't get out of his head about what happened and how it changed him, and he's lost his faith in everything he believed in prior. He admits to himself that being tortured broke him, and he only seems to be able to confide in Adam. And while we do see Penny actually changing him and kind of bringing back that hint of the man he was before, you still see there's like a progressive turmoil going on within him, even as he's changing outwardly for the better. And it's that storyline that really gets to me, and that really makes me have an emotional reaction to the book, and I actually feel for Knight. I think he's a jerk for what he did to Penny, but he also wasn't as bad as Cade was. He wasn't as bad as Declan was. And given what he went through, I can kind of relate. Maybe not on everything, Some of the things he did was stupid and unnecessary, but again, I feel for him a little bit more. Knight goes through a lot, and he does end up slowly telling Penny some of the things he went through when he was tortured, but then he feels shame about it, and he's trying to run from it. He's scared, he's alone, he's frustrated, and he's trying to talk about it, but he's also trying to keep it inside. And Penny's not letting him run from it, which I think is actually really good for him because she's making him feel the things he's trying to suppress. This is kind of why I think they're really so good for each other, because I think they balance each other a little bit better, especially when he pulls his head out of his ass to see that he's good for her and that she's good for him. Their relationship actually is really cute. He grovels, he opens up to her, he tells her his secrets after, a big blowout, and he decides to seek help on his own. And I think that's really good for him. And I think it's really good that he did that for her and himself. It showed, the change within him. And it was so cute. And I can't give anything away, but there's this huge secret. There's a few huge secrets, but there's this really huge secret that if I told you would be a spoiler alert. And when he tells her, I actually cried. Like, I was shocked at how much I was crying. It was well executed. It was a good bomb drop for me. It was well executed and really emotional. And it's the first time I could say, like, the author did a good job in that part. Despite being a jerk, he was a really good character. He really had a lot of depth. And it wasn't really shown till the middle to end. It was kind of showed in the beginning, but not that much. And I really like how you get to see more of it. What does surprise me, though, is that this entire book transpired within a month. So all this change happened within a month, which I think is a little unrealistic if you ask me, but I won't complain on that. This book I did like, so I will not add more complaints. I think it's not that bad. It's fiction, whatever. And like I said, thank fuck that they did not kiss with their eyes open. I would have absolutely screamed. It would have made me hate the book instantly. Like, my favorite quote is when Knight is thinking about Penny and he thinks to himself, and the feeling of her lips on mine was like the first rain on parched earth, like the first snowfall that covers the earth in a carpet of virgin white. So everything is muted and hushed and waiting. This is a sweet and romantic sentiment. It was early on in the book where this happened, and it made me really hope for him to realize his feelings quickly, to enjoy the happily ever after I think he deserves, especially after everything he's been through. Seeing him through the past books and seeing how sweet he was, I really did want a good story for him. So it upsets me that he went through that trauma, but I also think like it was necessary for this book, and I do like it. I think he, like I said, really great. Surprisingly, my favorite character is Knight. I don't usually like the male main characters in the stories, but he is my favorite. And I do love Penny, don't get me wrong. And while he does do a lot of messed up things and make a lot of mistakes and keep a lot of secrets, he's also been very honest about hating himself, not thinking he's worthy, and like having this reason for why he's pushing her away because he wants better for her. While he does try to deny his feelings and his ability to love, he knows he's doing horrible things to Penny, and he feels horrible about it. And it's that whole thing, that whole process that makes him actually change and grow as a person and allow himself to feel again, which is amazing for him. He's doing better for himself and for Penny. I mean, he's a man who went through a lot of trauma. He's got survivor's guilt. He feels responsible for what happened to his team, and he's really trying to acclimate back into civilian life, something he really never had to do. I feel for his emotions, and I do genuinely like him as a character, even if he was a jerk. Like, all of them have done pretty messed up things at one point or another, all the male characters in all the books, and I don't think that necessarily makes you a bad person. I think, again, despite what he did, I still think he's a great character. Because I love Penny, I can't put her as my least favorite, so I think my least favorite is going to be Myra. Myra's Penny's friend, and I love Myra too, but again, I had to choose somebody, so I just kind of threw a name out there. The only thing I had with her is I don't dislike her at all. The only problem I had is that Penny was clearly in distress. And she was really upset about marrying Knight, and Knight did some really bad things that really upset Penny, especially around their wedding time. And while it angered Myra, she was still all for him and like rooting him on and her on, and not seeing the turmoil in Penny that was so very clearly there. So that was annoying. That's why I did kind of, I guess, choose her. But again, it was it was more random because almost everybody brushed it to the side. I mean, they didn't and they did. They understand he was being a jerk. They were angry at him, but like they were trying to be happy for the two of them, and it was weird. That I guess could be her bad quality there. Overall, I do think this book has done way better than the rest of the books in the series, and I'm really hoping that the last two books are just as good, if not better. While it was a bit jumbled, especially in the beginning, and it had a lot of bits that bored me and agitated me, that storyline about Night really intrigued me and really caused an emotional response. And actually seeing the progress between him and Penny and seeing Penny's emotional state when he would hurt her, but still trying to be there and get him to open up because she could see his pain, that was actually really beautiful. And that is what made me like the book. While I won't recommend the series because the series really did aggravate me, this book is actually really good. It wasn't a waste of my time. They are standalone, so you actually could read this book on its own if you wanted to. I don't recommend it because there are key things that are spoken about in previous books that I think help to read it, but I don't want to say no to this book just because I don't like the series. The book itself was good. Anyway, this is the end of my book review. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I hope you guys like how I take this review in the future, change things up a little bit. I just want to be more relaxed, more myself. I feel like I was stiff, constantly reading, and I get that I still have to get some notes just to keep on track, but it felt very awkward for me, and I felt like maybe it wouldn't be as enjoyable. If you guys did read this book, comment below and let me know what you thought. If you guys didn't read this book but want to read this book, comment below and let me know. Before you read it, after you read it, whenever. I'm curious. But yeah, that's it, folks. So, like the video, comment your thoughts. Comment if you have any other books you want me to read. I will put it in the book bowl. Subscribe if you haven't already to show your support, and hit that notification bell to be informed every time I post a new video. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.